You can never run away from a tsunami and survive. With this, it is not possible to get early warning of a tsunami. Today we will discuss some sabers that can create tsunamis that are more dangerous than naturally occurring tsunamis. Many of these submarines are more powerful than the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, or there are submarines that can destroy the whole world. Yes, listening correctly, a submarine underwater has the power to destroy the world. Again, there are some submarines that can save us from these terrible floods. How? Let's find out. U-31. The U-31 submarine built in the First World War could carry a total of 35 people at a time. But later, because of the War of Nerves, all the submarines of huge giants started to be made. Each of these more than 100 people conduct their operations. In addition, they usually feature 2 full nuclear reactors for their power supply, as well as several missile and torpedo compartments, a chamber for turbines, a control center, and cabins for the crew. The 31 submarine is approximately 150 meters long. Pilgrim, the largest submarine made in Russia, is about 360 meters long. In addition to the standard 2 nuclear reactors, it has a 3rd nuclear reactor attached. These 3 nuclear reactors together can produce about 110 megawatts of energy. This amount of energy can supply about 11,000 electricity. But despite having so much power, this submarine does not have a single missile, because this submarine was made to deliver liquefied natural gas from one continent to another. It can go on expeditions to several more countries than any normal ship or carrier. It could even break the Antarctic ice sheet. Pilgrims are actually huge whalefish, which looks huge but can do no harm. Cirque. It is another Russian submarine, which is also made in the pattern of submarines of the U.S., but which is more powerful. Both submarines were first launched in 1981 when the War of Nerves between the Soviet Union and the United States was at its height. Although both submarines are roughly the same length, it is only 63 meters longer than the Ohio, which is 173 meters, but 10 meters wider than it. Because of this, it occupies about 48,000 tons more volume underwater. Each of the 24 ballistic missiles on the American YO submarine can completely destroy any coastal area of 300 kilometers. And the power of Russia's shock submarine is exactly the same. But since the size of the Russian missile at that time was large, it would have required a lot of space to operate it. And that's why the size of SAARC was quite large in comparison with the same powers. Arcturus. The submariner is named after the brightest star in the northern hemisphere. It is very different from the rest of the submarines in the world. And the length of Turris is 133 meters. But this short length is rather important for this submarine. The extraordinary design and a special kind of hard use can make it completely hidden from the enemy. This technology allows Arcturus to get very close to the enemy side without any problems. It is almost impossible to find it with any other submarine. And through the advanced technology used in it, it can identify the enemy submarine by the presence of water chemicals or radiation, and can immediately destroy the enemy submarine. The circuit drone used in it can easily hit any target about 800 nautical miles away, although Arcturus has the ability to go into battle. But there is a lot of risk if it somehow reaches the shores of the enemy. Then it can launch 12 nuclear ballistic missiles, the total power of which is calculated is 1,500 times more than the little boy nuclear bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Also, the impact of this nuclear ballistic missile creates so much vibration that it will easily create a nuclear tsunami with a height of more than 500 meters, which will destroy all coastal areas in just a few minutes. 2 Arcturus submarines located in Hemisphire can easily strike all the island nations of the world. And if the United States uses all its nuclear weapons in response, then a real disaster will descend on the world, from which maybe neither you nor I will be freed. But here is a but. And Taurus is only an idea so far. No such submarine has been built by the Russians yet. According to many experts, this is only a Russian plan to scare America. Belgard submarine. Bellegarde submarine also carries 6 Poseidon torpedoes with nuclear wellheads with a total capacity of 100 megatons. One torpedo is about 20 meters long and looks like a school bus. Each torpedo will destroy everything in an area of 2,000 square kilometers directly. Russian President Putin accepts all kinds of orders. Submarines can easily destroy many things. We all know it, but submarines can be a safe place for us during any major disaster around the world. The big waves or tsunamis of the past 10 years have caused extensive damage to island states like Japan, Indonesia, or Greenland. As a result, about 30,000 people have died. Another 20,000 people have gone missing. Although we have the technology to detect the incoming tsunami, but usually the coastal people do not get enough time before the tsunami hits. If such a disaster engulfs the whole world, according to environmental scientists, the world's sea level will rise significantly within 2030 years. As a result, many areas of the world are likely to sink underwater, although such a world was last seen 6,000 years ago. However, if such a tsunami occurs in the future, all the coastal cities of the world will sink as a result. In such a situation, the submarine may be our last hope. Usually, the epicenter of a tsunami is 30 to 45 meters below sea level. In order to survive this great disaster, tarmen must go 30 to 45 meters below the sea with a submarine. But the matter is actually not so simple. According to military experts, even at such a depth, reputation will affect the submarine. A tsunami activated by an earthquake can easily take any submarine far and even to the surface. To survive the disaster can go deeper than this. But if we want to go to a depth of 120 meters in such an emergency, there will be a huge amount of pressure on the engine of the submarine. As a result, the nuclear reactor exploded, resulting in the death of all those in the submarine. Such was the case with the Soviet submarine K-27. Liquid metal was used instead of water as the cooling agent of this submarine's nuclear reactor. On the 8th of May, 1968, there was a strong storm on the submarine. Storms melt submarines and melt hot metal in nuclear reactor cores. 105 crew on the submarine were fatally affected by nuclear radiation. The amount of this radiation was 600 to 1,000 run chains. 9 sailors died on the spot in this accident, which is several times more than normal tolerance. The submarine's radiation was so powerful that it was later sunk to the depths of the ocean.